Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another videos, another paid request, this time for my friend Efree. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this time, we are going to Bloodfist III, Forced to Fight. Where, yet again, we have a different director, this time Oley Sassone. I'm like Sassoon, like the shampoo conditioner, but no. This is the same guy that directed that Fantastic Four movie that never got released in the 90s. Well, it got released as in someone found and bootlegged it, but never got officially released. That Fantastic Four in the 90s, 1994, I believe. He directed this. Once again produced by Roger Corman, once again starring Don the Dragon Wilson. You also have Richard Roundtree, who of course was in the Shaft movies back in the 70s. Now, he's playing a different character, although he played the same character Jake, Ray, in the first two, but at the same time, they weren't really connected because the guy who played the bad guy in the first one was in the second one as a different bad guy, so again, I don't know why they didn't just keep with the same character in the same timeline. I don't know why, but they just decided not to. I mean, they were being very successful in VHS. That's why they kept the Bloodfist name. I could see that, but I'm like, well, again, this could have been the same guy and just see a series of adventures up and down, crazy life, but they didn't want to do that, so okay. So it's Bloodfist 3 with Don Johnny Wilson, but has nothing to do with the films before or since in terms of continuity. So it takes place in Wendate State Penitentiary, if I learn how to talk. And we get into the subgenre of action films, the prison action film. Now there's some a bit more drama, like Lock Up with Sylvester Stallone, which I love. Underrated film. Yeah, ones that have a bit more of the action, like Death Warrant with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which was 1990. And there were a few films that did this. What was it? David Bradley was in one called Hard Justice, which I rather enjoyed. I think that's David Bradley's best film, easily. And I would say, let's see, The Expert with Jeff Speedwood kind of did that because the last bits of it take place in a prison. Now, a lot of times you have that happen. Of course, years and years before any of that was Penitentiary in those movies, which were in the 80s. But right off the gate, we're in the prison. It's not like, oh, we see how Don's character Jimmy was lifelike before this. It's like, boom, we're right in the prison. And we don't even know until a long while into the movie as to why he's in prison and what had happened. It's like halfway through the film before we find out. It's just, yep, he's in prison and he's seen someone who's a friend of his getting butt wrangled by the butt wrangler himself. I forget the character's name. But it don't matter because Don beats the shit out of these guys. The guy tries to shiv him, but you want your shiv back? And gives the shiv right back into his fucking stomach. The grapist. Well, not grape, but you know what I mean. Rhymes with grape. Rhymes with tape. Run through the tape on his butthole. That's what this guy was doing. But not anymore because the shiv's down his butthole. Well, not his butthole, but it's on the other end. And not, you know what I mean. Anyway, the warden and such don't like that. Something about their prison is being more state-of-the-art, but I don't know what the fuck state-of-the-art in the prison. It didn't look like anything state-of-the-art to me, other than there's a couple cameras. It's not really state-of-the-art, even for 1992, but whatever. But anyway, he had people coming by. He needs to keep Jimmy quiet, so he puts him more in the circuit where there are black folk, there are white supremacist racist folks, and the guy he had stabbed, who was running through the tape, so to speak, on the butt was black. So people who were black in the population don't like Don and think he doesn't like black people. It's like, no, he just doesn't like people who forcibly enter people's rectums without permission. And he's put into a jail cell with Richard Roundtree, who is this guy who's peaceful, has all these books. And, I mean, this is cliche. A lot of the prison cliches are followed in this. You have the guy who's been in prison for a while. He's much more wiser. You have the evil white supremacist. You got the perverted guy, among other stuff. I would say this one felt a little bit more dramatic compared with the other Bloodfist movies. So it definitely has a little bit more change of pace. I would say this is the second best one of the franchise. I still think Bloodfist 2 is the best in my opinion because I thought this one, the fight scenes were a little bit less choreographed and smoother than the second one, but still improved compared with the first one. But there's still a good collection of fights going out where either they're trying to tend this garden and they're trying to fight him, he kicks their ass, or there are times that Don gets his ass kicked, but then he follows back with punches and kicks. Did not a lot of variety or fluidity, but more than competent and more than able. And like I said, I've grown to like Don's acting the more I see him. Especially there's a bit near the end of the film where he has his torch and staring these two bad guys. And he's like, "Maybe I don't want to get out. So what do you think? Ready to go?" I'm like, okay, he's actually pretty good at that, in that scene. Richard Roundtree, very capable actor. He does a nice job in this as a guy becomes a mentor and a friend to Don's character. The white supremacist leader guy is Rick Dean. I really like that actor. He's a guy that he's been in a few stuff. He was in Carnosaur 2. I think he was in Carnosaur 3 as a different character. I especially love his character Carnosaur 3. He's a very fun. You may remember him if you've seen Tales from the Hood. He's a guy in the last segment when the guy's in that prison and he's been these little experiments. I remember when he's put in next to the guy who's a white supremacist race. I mean, this is like the second time Rick Dean's been cast as a white supremacist racist. Tales from the Hood, which was after this. This was before. This is 92. Tales from the Hood was like, what, 95 or so? So... But yeah, this one is a bit more goofy and silly, but still very entertaining. Like, hey, man, don't be fucking around my finger, okay? Don't be fucking around my finger again. There's never a time where he's intimidating, but he is a fun enough villain that has enough charm. As in, not charming because of charming because of the actor. Because of the goofiness to his character. But I wouldn't call him the main villain. I would say the other guy. I wish I could remember his name. Let's see if it remembers on the back here. Maybe it's Richard Paul. Or is it Peter Sugarfoot Cunningham? I cannot remember. But like I said, there's a variety of fights. There's fights in the prison yard. There's fights in the laundry. He sidekicks a guy into falling on his own knife. There's a fight in the garden, and Richard Roundtree even gets a baseball bat to tell these guys to leave Don alone. And let's say it tries to get a bit more dramatic as well. Like Richard Roundtree's trying to talk to the other black prisoners, saying, "We should be fighting the system, not each other. Huh? You wonder what this guy did?" And he tells what really happened. You also find out more that Don, He was convicted of manslaughter, but he didn't really do it. It's just they wanted someone to blame because of the color of his skin. And Richard Roundtree's like, yeah, I know the feeling. So I thought Don and Roundtree, they worked well together. I thought they had a decent chemistry with each other. Like a lot of these movies, there's some interesting quirks. For example, there's a bit where the prisoners are shown a movie as TNT Jackson. Like I said, I thought one thing that I thought was kind of iffy was you have this character wearing glasses who is a pervert, and very obvious that he is. Granted, yes, he does help Don, and in a way did save Don, the dragon's life, his character's life. He even mentions that. But spoiler alert, there's a bit where TNT Jax is being shown. Rick Dean, the other guy, they go kill this guy, stab the shit out of him, kill him, and Don is pissed. I'm like, why am I supposed to feel sorry for this guy? He's a pervert. That literally, there's a scene where there's a little girl, he's like watching the little girl. I'm like, why am I supposed to give a shit about this character? Good. I'd be like, yes, I'm glad he's dead. Because you're a pervert, looking at little kids, you deserve what's coming to you and more. Now, yes, they made Don explain he saved my life, but it's like, it's still a weird choice to have that be put into it. So I thought that was a bit wanty plot-wise. The second thing, getting more into spoilers, it comes to a point where Richard Roundtree gets hurt, and Don wants revenge for that. So I thought the ending while this riot happened, I guess because I'm thinking of the other Bloodfist films where it's like a big fight at the end, a big fisticuff. But it's not really the case. It's pretty much while this riot's going on. I thought, oh, it's a riot, so now it's going to be him kicking all these guys' ass during the riot who's trying to come at him, and this is going to be like the big finale. But not really. He's kind of gets to the two prisoners, pours some gas on them, gets a torch, threatens them while all the guards and warder are there, and even the media. That's where he's like, maybe I don't want to get out. Because they're like, if you burn us, you'll never get out. Maybe I don't want to. Huh? You ready to go? I guess in a way it's kind of their version of the Stallone lockup when he had the switch. Like, come on, shoot me, shoot me. Guilty on all charges. Maybe that's what we're trying to go for, but I thought it was much more effective on lockup. That's the thing. The dramatic stuff was okay, but not nearly as effective as, say, Lockup, let alone the Shawshank Redemption. And technically, this does have more fights than Death Warrant. Definitely has more fights. I might still like Death Warrant more just because that has a bit more of the polish of being a theatrical film. And it has a bit more satisfying ending where you get that fight with the Sandman and the music. Go kick off the Sandman. So in essence, this should be the film I like more because there's a lot more action and fights, but I probably still give a bit more to Death Warrant. Hard Justice, I probably say that one has a lot more. That definitely has some pretty crazy stunt work, not just action, but gunfights, shootouts in the prison, some pretty crazy stunt work involving helicopters and stuff. So even that felt like a bigger production. I still like the movie. I think it has some good cast members like Rick Dean and Richard Roundtree. I think while the fights are not as choreographed and smooth as the second film, it's still plentiful enough to keep you very easily interested in its hour 20-some minute running time. The ending's a bit kind of weird too. Last time I would say spoilers, I promise. Because Richard Roundtree gets out, but Don is still in prison. Now Roundtree does say, I'm going to do what I can to get you out of here. Yeah, but I'm like, maybe. I'm sure he'll do it, but maybe he'll get you out of here because I'll tell you, Don is there for a crime he didn't commit. He saved the day, and he's still in prison. He's now the chaplain, the new chaplain, but now he's going back into prison. I'm like, that doesn't seem as much of a happy ending. I mean, I guess Richard Roundtree got out, and maybe Don will get out, maybe not. But it's like, wow, that's kind of I want to say a bummer, but it's like, okay. I guess in a way, it's not typical, a little bit different. And the music has a bit of it's either saxophone or is like very much guitar. So I'm not sure on the music on this film. But prison action movies I'm a sucker for. This is a great environment. Because you have bad guys all around. There's no slim pickings to fighting fights. And it makes a bit of sense because there's all these criminals and murderers and thieves and all this stuff. So there's a lot of breathing room to have plentiful fights. And it does have that. If you're going into this to get some ass kicking, you do get that. And then some. Don still showcasing his skills. Still liking him as an actor. Goes by a fast pace. It's only an hour and 20 some minutes. Yeah, less than 90 minutes. So, overall, fun time. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.